Brian Chesky, The Airbnb Revolution: How a Broke Designer Built a Multi-Billion-Dollar Global Empire from Scratch. What if the biggest opportunity of your life is hiding inside your biggest problem? Imagine being unable to pay your rent in one of the most expensive cities in America. Imagine watching bills pile up while your dreams feel like they are slipping away. Imagine knowing you are talented, creative, ambitious, but still broke and uncertain. That was the reality for a young designer named Brian Chesky, living in San Francisco with no clear path, no rich investors, no safety net, just pressured doubt, and a deadline called rent. Now imagine, instead of giving up, you decide to turn your living room into a business. You put air mattresses on the floor, you invite strangers to sleep in your apartment, and you charge them money. It sounds crazy, risky, even embarrassing, but what if that crazy idea becomes one of the most disruptive companies in modern history? What if that desperate moment becomes the foundation of a global empire worth tens of billions of dollars? This is not just the story of a tech founder. This is a story about resilience, about imagination, about seeing possibility where others see problems, and by the end of this story you will understand how belief, creativity, and relentless execution can transform an ordinary person into a world-changing entrepreneur. Stay with me, because the journey of Brian Chesky might change the way you see opportunity forever. Brian Chesky was born on August 29, 1981, in Niskayuna, New York. He grew up in a middle-class family. His parents were social workers, so from an early age he was exposed to empathy, community, and understanding people. As a child, he was not obsessed with computers or coding. Instead, he loved drawing, design, and art. He redesigned his sneakers, sketched houses, and imagined better versions of everyday objects. This creative mindset would later become the foundation of his company, even though he did not know it at the time. He attended the Rhode Island School of Design, where he studied industrial design. This detail is important because, unlike many Silicon Valley founders, Brian was not a programmer. He was a designer. He believed deeply that how something feels, how it looks, and how people experience it matters just as much as technology. That philosophy shaped everything he built later. After graduating, he moved to San Francisco to pursue a career in design, but reality hit hard. Jobs were scarce, competition was intense, and living costs were extremely high. In 2007, he and his roommate Joe Gebbia could not afford their rent at the same time. A major design conference was coming to the city and hotels were fully booked. They saw a simple opportunity. They bought air mattresses, offered breakfast, and invited attendees to stay in their apartment. They called it Air Bed and Breakfast. 3 guests showed up and paid them. This small experiment planted the seed for what would become Airbnb. At first, almost no one believed in the idea. Investors rejected them repeatedly. Many people thought the concept of strangers staying in other strangers' homes was unsafe and unrealistic. They faced countless no responses from venture capital firms. They were so broke at one point that they created and sold novelty cereal boxes during the 2008 presidential election to survive financially. That story alone shows the level of desperation and creativity they were operating under. Eventually, they joined Y Combinator, where they received mentorship and a small investment. Paul Graham encouraged them to focus on their users personally. So Brian and his co-founders traveled city to city, meeting hosts, taking photos of apartments, improving listings, and listening to feedback. They were not building an app from behind a desk. They were building relationships face to face. Airbnb slowly gained traction. The platform expanded beyond air mattresses into full apartments, houses, and unique spaces. The core idea was simple: allow people to monetize their extra space and allow travelers to experience cities like locals. This idea challenged the hotel industry and changed the way people travel forever. Over the years, Airbnb faced major challenges: regulatory battles with cities, concerns about safety, discrimination issues, and the global pandemic, which nearly destroyed the travel industry. In 2020, revenue dropped dramatically and the company had to lay off employees. Brian Chesky made one of the most difficult decisions of his career: letting go of staff while publicly taking responsibility and showing empathy. His letter to employees was widely praised for its honesty and humanity. Despite the crisis, Airbnb went public in December 2020 during one of the most uncertain economic periods in recent history. The IPO was a massive success and the company valuation soared, making Brian Chesky a billionaire. His estimated net worth has fluctuated with the market, but has been in the range of around $10 billion, depending on stock performance. In terms of lifestyle, Brian is known for being relatively grounded compared to many tech billionaires. He has publicly stated that he does not own a traditional home for long periods and instead lives in different Airbnb listings around the world, embracing the product he built. He values experiences over luxury, although he certainly has access to immense wealth. He is more focused on design culture and long-term vision than flashy displays of riches regarding his personal life. Brian Chesky has generally kept his private relationships out of the spotlight. He has been linked to relationships in the past, but he is not widely known to be married, and information about children is not publicly emphasized, suggesting he prioritizes privacy in this area. He maintains a close relationship with his co-founders and considers them almost like family. His leadership style is heavily influenced by design thinking and by studying figures like Steve Jobs. He believes in focus, simplicity, and building products that people love, not just use. He has restructured Airbnb multiple times to operate more like a startup, even after becoming a massive corporation, showing his commitment to agility and innovation. Politically, Brian has expressed support for inclusive policies, immigration, and diversity. He has taken public stances against discrimination on the platform, implementing stronger anti-bias policies after criticism. He believes businesses have a responsibility to create belonging and community, which aligns with Airbnb's mission of creating a world where anyone can belong anywhere in terms of religion. Brian does not prominently define himself through public religious statements, but he often speaks about purpose, belonging, and human connection, which suggests a philosophical approach centered on meaning and impact rather than strict doctrine. Health-wise, there have been no major public health crises associated with him. He appears active, energetic, and highly engaged in his work. He values creativity and mental clarity, which he maintains through travel, conversations, and constant learning. What he openly criticizes is complacency, bureaucracy, and companies that lose their soul as they grow. He believes many corporations become slow, political, and disconnected from customers. He fights against that inside Airbnb by staying deeply involved in product decisions and long-term strategy. One of his strongest beliefs is that constraints fuel creativity. The fact that Airbnb was born out of financial pressure is proof of that philosophy. He often encourages entrepreneurs to start with what they have rather than waiting for perfect conditions. For audiences in America and Canada, Brian Chesky represents the modern automobile dream, not just building wealth, but reshaping an entire industry. Through design and courage, he proves that you do not need to be a coding genius to change the world. You need vision, empathy, and relentless execution. His story teaches that rejection is part of the process, that temporary embarrassment can lead to permanent success, and that innovation often looks ridiculous in the beginning before it looks inevitable today. Airbnb operates in more than 190 countries with millions of listings, transforming tourism, hospitality, and local economies. Brian Chesky continues to guide the company with a long-term vision, focusing on community, unique stays, and deeper travel experiences rather than just transactions. In conclusion, Brian Chesky's life is a powerful reminder that your biggest struggle can hide your greatest opportunity. From a broke designer unable to pay rent to a billionaire CEO leading a global platform, his journey proves that courage, creativity, and commitment can redefine industries and inspire millions. If you found this story inspiring and you want more powerful success stories like this on this channel, make sure you subscribe, like, and share to support the channel and help more people discover these life-changing journeys. Your support means everything. And I truly appreciate your time, respect, and love for watching. Like, subscribe, share.